dark of the night when the stars align, there's a place you can go where the stories unwind. Slavs in the chair bringing news from the skies. All things DC, it's where the truth lies.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Thursdays the Watchtower, where we talk DC. All things DC, that's right. Welcome. Today it's going to be a little bit of an open discussion. There's a couple things I want to talk about before we get into just open discussion. The open discussion is going to be specifically, I think, more so on the fandom of the DC universe, the DC IP, the DC franchise. I want to discuss how it's been, where it's at, why it is how it is, what is the issues with it, what has caused it to be what it's like. But before we get into that, like I said, there's a few things that have popped up this week I want to just touch on a little bit, and then we'll get into the open discussion. So let's dive in. How's it going, everybody? Who do we got here? We got Trevon here. We got Hope for Life. Hey, Slav, what's up? What's going on? He says, the intro brings a smile to my face. I'm glad. Derpy Entertainment, my glorious king. I mean, I'm flattered that you think of me as a king, but come on now. Otito, talking about, I saw, yes, apologize for your grandmother's passing, Hope for Life. Apologize for that. That we didn't know. I mean, I don't know how we would know, but I do apologize that we didn't know about that. So our condolences, all of us here. Hungry Almighty, what's up? What's going on, man? All right, so like I said, let's get into these few little tidbits of things here that have kind of popped up this week, and then we'll get into the open discussion where we talk about the DC fandom and what the issues are. And I just want everybody to kind of jump in and talk about stuff. And here's the thing, with an open discussion, that's kind of the idea. That's the first topic we're going to talk about. But if you guys want to lead somewhere else, absolutely. Throw questions in, throw anything you want in once we get to that portion of the show. All right. Supergirl. That's right. Supergirl has gone into production. This little video here. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, in production now. I don't know who first created this, who shared it. I just thought it was great. Starring Millie Alcock, Matthew Schoenertz, Eve Ridley, Jason Momoa. Written by Anna Naguaria. Directed by Craig Gillespie. Only in theaters June 26, 2026. Again, great to hear. Supergirl in production. It's moving forward, guys. The DCU is moving forward. It's great to see. And not only that, but apparently, and I don't know where this information is coming from. I kind of looked through. I've been really busy this week at work and stuff going at home, so I haven't been able to really dive in to see where this information came from. But I found this, and it says Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow and Lanterns will release in June 2026. Is there like confirmation of that? Because I haven't heard any confirmation from James Gunn, DC Studios, or anything regarding that. That's kind of big, if that's true. And I can't imagine they're going to release both of them in the same month. That just doesn't sound right to me. They're going to separate them in some form or fashion. Whether Lanterns comes out a couple months before, a couple months later, I think they're going to play it similar to what they're doing with Superman and Peacemaker, where Superman comes out in July and then a month or two later, Peacemaker comes out. I think they're going to do the same thing with Supergirl and Lanterns. That's what I think. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know if any of you saw anything about this. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think or heard or know, because I want to know. But then there's a rumor going around that Lanterns begins shooting on February 10th. Again, I haven't heard any confirmation on that. I know that it's supposed to start shooting within the next few weeks. Originally, I heard it was supposed to start shooting in January. So again, I don't know where this stuff is coming from. Where are people getting this information? Again, we know it's going to start shooting soon, but February 10th, there's a date on it. which I'm fine with. Like the more information we get, the better. I'm just not sure where people are getting this information. I'm just really baffled by all of this. But again, it's exciting. We know this stuff is moving forward. It's just we got to dissect it. We got to figure out what is real, what is not real. And we know the fact of the matter is if it doesn't come from James Gunn, DC Studios, Peter Safran, then it's probably not true unless it comes from a trade, Variety, things like that, Deadline. It's typically, even then, you got to take it very lightly unless it comes from James Gunn or DC Studios. But I'm just excited. I don't know if you can tell. I'm excited. Supergirl's in production. Lanterns is ramping up for production. We've seen Aaron Pierre working out in the gym, getting ready for production. It's exciting times indeed, for sure. What are you guys saying over here? Hope for Life says he thought Truth 31 created that. I saw it on his channel. I don't know. I'm not sure if that is true. Otito says, to answer your question, thumbnail Snyder cult. We'll get into that later. Man. Happy 3D model. Hello, how's it going? Hope for Life asks, how do you feel about Mangold's plan for Swamp Thing film, Slav? That's next up on my docket here, so we'll get into that in a second. Trevon says, with Supergirl and Lanterns moving forward, as well as Clayface, Waller, and Sergeant Rock, all set to move forward this year, if the new RPK is to be believed, DCU is about to go full force. Absolutely. Hungry Almighty, apparently there are some Lanterns episode leaks. I read the leaks, and based off what I've been reading with each episode, I already love it. I haven't seen the leaks. Where are people seeing these leaks? Again, it sucks. Whenever, I'm like really busy at work this week, so I had a lot of time to look at anything. And then at home, it's been a little busy at home even. So I haven't even, this is the first I'm hearing that there's leaks of episodes. What is going on here? What am I missing this week? What the heck, people? What the heck? Come on. You guys need to hit me up whenever you're seeing this stuff. Come on. Otito says, I thought Waller and Sergeant Rock weren't confirmed unless the script is good. Yeah, I think Waller, there's a rumor. I think Daniel RPK started the rumor with Waller and Sergeant Rock that they're supposed to start filming or start production later this year. Again, you're not wrong, Otito. Unless the script is ready and it's good, Gunn is not going to greenlight and start production on anything. That's not to say that in the background, things could be done and ready, and he may have greenlit things. And I'm not saying Daniel RPK is right or wrong right now. You know my feelings. I say it all the time. I don't trust scoopers. I don't. But that's not to say that this stuff with Sergeant Rock and Waller isn't happening in the background, because he can absolutely green light stuff and announce it later. I do believe that he's putting some pieces together, so when Superman comes out, and at San Diego Comic-Con's, I think a week later, a week and a half after Superman comes out, I have a feeling they're going to have a presence there. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, and I think they're going to have a few announcements there. Maybe they do something before Superman. But if Superman comes out and it's a big hit, I think they're going to announce a whole bunch of things. If it's not a big hit, like if it doesn't have a big opening weekend, maybe they don't announce as much. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. We'll see, though. But they have to have things lined up prior to that. So they have to secretly have things lined up and planned out before then. That's all. That's all I think. I could be wrong, though. Jay Kelly says, leaks don't seem to be real, but they are fun to listen to. Otito, you think Marvel will beat DC again with 2026 Doomsday and Spider-Man? What is Covey? I don't know what that is. I think Marvel will beat DC again. I don't think it matters. I'm still kind of iffy on Doomsday. 2026, since Supergirl appears to be the big movie for DC in 2026, I think it's hard to imagine Supergirl being bigger than Doomsday. So I think it's, what is 2026 going to be? Clayface and Supergirl. Those are like the big movies for DC that year, right? Uh, Doomsday is going to beat both of them. And let's be real here. Derpy says, basically, Green Lantern's pod has leaks, full episodes, descriptions, and it sounds legit. But I would take it with a grain of salt. All right. Happy 3D model. I'm excited for the DCU. I hope it does well. I think it will. As do I. Petito says, movie, I meant. Oh, it's okay. I just get confused sometimes. It's okay. All right. Next up, James Mangold says his Swamp Thing movie will be a simple gothic horror movie. He says, while I'm sure DC views Swamp Thing as a franchise, I would be viewing it as a very simple, clean gothic horror movie. Now, I do like this, and I think some people are taking it the wrong way. I like that James Mangold is going in there looking at it as his movie, his simple horror film. There is quite a bit here at Movie Web, and he kind of discusses things a little bit here, Where's it at? Like he says, well, I'm sure DC views Swamp Thing as a franchise. I view it as a very simple, clean, gothic horror movie about this man monster, just doing my own thing with this, just a standalone. And I like that he's looking at it that way, because not necessarily that this can't be a franchise, but from his standpoint, he's going to go in there, he's going to make the best single movie that he can make. And I say this all the time. Every director, every writer, every producer should go into a movie to make the best movie that they can make. Don't go in there expecting with these expectations that it's going to turn into a big, large franchise. All right. So that's what he should be doing, going in there to make the best Swamp Thing movie that you can make. There's no reason not to. First off, Swamp Thing's a badass character. And the crazy thing about Swamp Thing, it's almost like he's never missed. You take a look at that TV show that came out, what was it, 5-6 years ago? That show was phenomenal. Even the old Swamp Thing series back in the day, it was huge back at the time. You take a look at the comics. People have always loved the comics. Swamp Thing has never been a miss. So you take somebody like James Mangold, who has the ability to be a good director, sans the Indiana Jones movie. I think if he focuses and is given the ability to make a good movie like he can do, he's going to make a damn good movie. But people are also worried about another comment. Where's it at here? He says, I've learned a lot, whether it's making an action film or whether it's making a Western and bringing those energies to a superhero film or Marvel film. You not only learn things making one genre, but then you learn how to carry over lessons lessons from that genre into another one that you might not expect. That's not the one I'm looking for. Where it is, there's another comment he makes where he's talking about how he's wants to kind of do his own thing. He doesn't want to be kind of hampered down to what the expectations are. And people are thinking like, oh, he's not going to follow the comics at all. No, he doesn't want to do the same old thing, but he wants to be able to create. He wants to have the freedom to create a good story, and that's what he wants to do, and that's okay. I say all the time, we have the comics for a reason. As long as you can stay true to the core of the character and build a good story around that character, then absolutely make a good movie then. That's all. Stay true to the character, stay true to the lore, build the movie around it. You don't need to copy every comic. You don't always need to copy the comics, because we have the comics we can always go back to. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I think is cool about it. I'm hoping it does well. I think it will do well. I do. I think it will do very well. Oh, nice. Lawrence Fury right there. Became a member level /Free Talk. I think you were a member before, but awesome. Thank you. Lawrence Fury, let James Mangold cook. Yes, let him cook. Absolutely. Let's see. There we go. There we go. I'm getting like kind of laggy on my comments here. I'm sorry. Hopeful Life says, I like this idea for Swamp Thing being a gothic horror film. Gets me more pumped to see one of my favorite DC characters of all time. Yeah. Jay Kelly, I feel like we already knew that Swamp Thing was going to be a standalone in the DCU. And here's the thing. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a standalone. I think he's viewing it as a standalone. I think he's going to view it as something that he's making on his own. He's not viewing it as his large franchise. James Gunn, Peter Safran may look at it as a franchise and may look at it as once he's done, they may make a sequel after him. They may utilize Swamp Thing in other movies after this. Absolutely. But what he's making is one damn good movie in his eyes. That's what he's focusing on. And that's what he should be focusing on. Lauren says, a standalone movie is good for DC. We don't need to build up to a major event. True. Otito says, Hope for Life. I kind of get what you mean. I'm just Team DC. Oh, I see what you're saying. You guys are talking amongst each other yourselves. Whatever. Jay Burns says, I love the Swamp Thing series from 2019. Yeah, man, that show was awesome. It sucks that they canceled it, but their budget was wild. Their budget was absolutely wild. And then they didn't get the tax breaks they were supposed to get. And then, oh man, that was unfortunate. That's why it was so good, is because of their budget. All right. Okay. So that's that. All right. The next thing I want to talk about here is Creature Commandos. There's been a thing going around the past couple days about Creature Commandos and the numbers that it did. And people were pumping it up saying, oh, the numbers were fantastic. They were amazing. It was great. So I don't know who started sharing this. I'm not sure. This X account, Real Critiques, I found this on here. Shared, Creature Commandos debuted with over 22 million minutes viewed in its first full week of release. According to Illuminate, this marks the third highest debut for any show on Max. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is numbers for streaming shows. I did a video about this, I guess it was like after the first week, maybe after the second week of Creature Commandos. I tried to explain to everybody that the way that we have to look at streaming shows, specifically for any streaming show, not just DC related, but really any streaming show, is really difficult because streaming services don't put out their numbers. They just don't. Disney Plus, Max, Paramount, Peacock, they don't do it. Netflix, I think, kind of gives some numbers out here and there. Like you can get those numbers in a way. The Nielsen rating systems will put out data. That's probably the most accurate you will get from time to time. But for the most part, you're not getting the true accurate data from the streamers, which is going to be the most accurate. When you get it from these like third-party, apps or third-party, data collectors, you're not getting the most accurate information. Now, what I'm not going to sit here and say is this information is not accurate. This information is accurate. I'm not going to sit here and say this information is excellent. This information is terrible. But what I'm going to sit here and say is you're going to look at this, you're going to take this kind of information, and you're going to read it as you want to read it. That's what everybody's going to do, because you're going to sit here and this real critiques looks at it and says, hey, this is excellent information. And from a certain point of view, yes, absolutely it is. This is great information to see that Creature Commandos debuted with 22 million minutes viewed in its first full week. Why is this good news? First off, it's an adult-oriented animated show on Max for a brand new universe. On Max, again, very important to know. Creature Commandos is an unknown commodity. It's not really a big comic book. It's not really a successful comic book right now. It's nothing big. It's not anything to write home about. DC is in a very weird state with its IP. People don't really care about the film and the live action side of things. So it's in a very weird state. So that is why you look at this and you say, okay, this is actually pretty good for a start. All right. But what was it that I was saying back then? Well, we can't look at the numbers because we don't have the real data. Again, is this the right data? Is this the full data? I don't know. And Luminate could have the full data, but I doubt it. Now, obviously, you have people sitting here making fun of this, sitting here saying, oh, this is laughable when the Penguin got this many views. Well, first off, the Penguin is a live action show that's reaching a larger audience because of the type of content that it is. This show was never expected to do Penguin numbers, not expected to do House of Dragon or Game of Thrones numbers. It's not what it was intended to do. They have expectations for this show. And interestingly enough, another show that you can kind of compare it to is something like Harley Quinn. Now, Harley Quinn has had 5 seasons prior to, well, this coming week. Or maybe it was just this past week. I don't know. The new season just started, I think, actually today or yesterday or something. So it's now on its 6th season. So this is a show that you can compare it to because it's right up the same alley. It's adult-oriented animation with the same type of jokes. Actually, it's a little even more raunchier, a little more childish than Creature Commandos is. Creature Commandos is a little more adult, a little more serious in nature than Harley Quinn is. It has more, I think, even, a better message than Harley Quinn does. But when you look at it, this is the type of audience it's trying to attract, a similar audience. Okay. But again, we don't get the numbers from Max on their shows. So then we sit back and we say, okay, well, it was greenlit for a 2nd season. Yes, it was. Creature Commandos was greenlit for a 2nd season. Well, people are going to sit there and say, well, James Gunn greenlit his own show, and he greenlit his own show from the very start. You're right. When he became the head of DC Studios, he greenlit Creature Commandos to continue development. But that doesn't mean that Max could have picked it up. Max picked it up because they were like, hey, Harley Quinn's doing well. Let's see how Creature Commandos does. Then Max said, hey, we want a 2nd season, so they greenlit a 2nd season. James Gunn and Peter Safran can't just say, hey, we're putting this on Max. Max has people in charge of it that say, we want this or we don't want this. So if Max didn't want a 2nd season of Creature Commandos, they wouldn't be putting a 2nd season of Creature Commandos on Max. Plain and simple, full stop. That's it. That's all there is about it. So you can sit there and say, well, they only got a 2nd season because it's James Gunn's. To a point, yes, I will agree. Yes, James Gunn probably wanted a 2nd season to continue the story, but if Max didn't want it, James Gunn wasn't getting a 2nd season on Max. It's that simple. So Max wanted a 2nd season, which means it hit expectations. It hit numbers that Max liked to see. It got numbers that they liked to see. So we go back to this little post right here. These numbers here, it marks the 3rd highest debut for any show on Max. Is that accurate? I couldn't tell you. Could it mean that it's the 3rd highest debut for any animated show on Max? Maybe that's accurate. Maybe that's more accurate. Maybe that's right. I don't know because we don't see the actual numbers. Okay. But all of those people that want to sit there and complain and bitch and say, oh, this is laughable. This is ridiculous. Creature Commandos was a flop. It did terribly. Nobody knows. Not a single person knows. But what we do know is one, it got greenlit and was requested by Max to have a 2nd season. What we do know is critically, it got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. What we do know is that it's rated very well by the fans on Rotten Tomatoes. Those who have watched it love the show, critics and fans. Similar to what? Harley Quinn. Critics love it, fans love it. So the show that they probably are trying to mimic, it is lining up with. You see, this is exactly what I said needed to happen back in December when this launched. They probably have an expectation that they're trying to meet. It hit those expectations. It's lining up with Harley Quinn, which is a very similar show. And they're saying, you know what? Let's keep it going. Let's see if it'll grow. The audience for Harley Quinn grew season to season. They're probably hoping that the same thing is going to happen with Creature Commandos. So I went on X and I said, look, I said exactly what I said here. Max requested a season 2, to which DC Studios was willing to make. It was as successful as they wanted it to be. They're happy with whatever the numbers were or are. Critics and fans who watched it loved it, and the DCU has started with a damn strong, fun story. Personally, I choose to be optimistic and happy with what I watched because it was a fun show. And I do encourage others to watch it. When they do, they like it as well. There's somebody I work with, and he's a little pessimistic at times. He's not very happy. Like, we talk Star Wars a lot. He does not like current Star Wars. But we talk about DC a bit too. And he's not been very happy with a lot of things that happened. And I encouraged him to watch Creature Commandos, especially after that 4th episode, the Weasel episode. And I told him about that. And he ended up watching it, and he enjoyed Creature Commandos. He did, because I encouraged him to watch it. And that's the thing. It's that excitement when you tell somebody to watch something and you show that excitement and you say, like, look, this is why it's awesome. And then they go and watch it. Yeah, most likely they're going to watch it and like it. And if they don't, then they don't. It's that simple. But again, the real true numbers aren't available. These other apps that put them out, these other companies that put them out, they aren't the true accurate numbers. The closest that we ever get is from Nielsen, and even those aren't fully accurate. It's that simple. So those who are out there saying this or that or this about the numbers, you can listen to them if you want. Go right ahead, listen to these YouTubers, listen to these people on X. You can be excited. Be excited. If you like the show, be excited. I love the show. I'm excited. And that's why I say stuff like this. But I want people to understand the truth, the facts of the matter. And that's all I tried to do. That's what I did the other day. If you saw my expectations for Superman video, the one that where it says it's tracking to be successful, I laid everything out. That's the whole idea. You have people who lay things out in such a negative way, but you have to lay things out in a factual way. And that's all I'm doing here. It is like, look at the facts, look at the truth of the matter. You can believe the things that you want to believe. Anybody can twist the narrative a certain way. But when you look at things how they actually are, just sit back. Critics love it. Fans love it. Max greenlit it. It's probably trending the way they want it to trend. It's lining up with how Harley Quinn is. The fact of the matter is, we got a second season. We're going to get a second season. Regardless of how well it did in the eyes of the haters, the people that don't want it to do well, we're getting a second season. So the haters can sit there and hate on it as much as they want, but we're getting a second season. Plain and simple. So you move forward. Rewatch it. If you liked it, I know I'm going to rewatch it. I want to watch it start to finish, just binge it. Because I want to see how it lands just watching it start to finish. But that's the thing. Like, just move on. Because now we have Superman coming. And you know the same thing's going to happen. They're going to twist the facts. They're going to twist the numbers. They're going to twist everything they can to say, oh, it made 150 million in opening day, but that's crap compared to this. Who the hell cares? It made 150 million opening day. Oh, it made 400 million opening week. Oh, that's crap. Well, why? You know, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to twist the facts and the numbers any way they can, because that's what they want to do. And it's pathetic. So, like I said, this Creature Commando stuff, people are going to be excited. People are going to post numbers. Just look at the true information that we actually have and just go from there. That's all. That's all I'm saying. What do you guys got over here? Man, you guys are talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Um, what is this question? Did anyone expect Spider-Man No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick, or Barbie to do as well as they did? Spider-Man No Way Home, yes. Top Gun Maverick, no, I don't think anybody expected to do as well as it did, but I think people expected it to do well. Barbie, that's a tough question. I don't think anybody expected it to do $1 billion, but yeah. Man. What do you guys do? Man, there's so many comments. What, like, holy crap, guys. All right. I don't even know. All right, I see a Swamp Things comment, so I must be after that here, right? Um, Tito says Superman is aimed to between 6 and 700. Anyone else agree? I mean, I agree. Actually, I think it's going to make closer to that 7, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. Trayvon says, I think Superman will blow its expectations out of the water. That's a good possibility. I don't think it's. I think $1 billion is possible for Superman. I do. I think it's a possibility. I just. It has an uphill battle for it. That's all I'm saying. I want to see how the marketing goes in the summer of Superman. I think marketing is going to play a big role on if it hits $1 billion. But I think out of the comic book movies this year, I think out of all of them, I think Superman has the best chance to surpass its expectations. Fantastic Four, I think, is the second one that has the best chance of surpassing expectations. But like I said, I think if Captain America and Thunderbolts fail miserably, if they're terrible movies, that's going to hurt Fantastic Four more than anything else. And I have a, I've been saying this for a while. That Fantastic Four is going to get moved. Do you think that it could be that they're waiting for Captain America to come out? And if Captain America comes out and does bad, that they push Fantastic Four to give it space to kind of maybe, I don't know. Oh boy. All right. So I know there's a whole bunch of comments here. You guys are all talking about Superman. Let's kind of jump into the main topic, which is just an open discussion. And I want to start it with the first thing that I said is what is causing these issues within the DC fandom. Okay. And I know that there's a lot of people that are going to simply sit here and say, it's the Snyder Cult. The Snyder Cult causes the issues in the fandom. I know that's what people want to say. And I would easily sit here and I could easily sit here. Oh, Real Anarchy's here. What's going on, man? What's up, Real Anarchy? He said, I was going to do a short saying the same about Fantastic Four. Real quick, Real Anarchy, I have to say, I think we're kind of on the same wavelength with some things, so that's pretty cool. But hey, go for it. Do the short, man. Go for it. But anyway, I know a lot of people will sit here and try and say it's the Snyder Cult or, the Snyder Bros, whatever. And I could easily say, the same thing. But I think there's more to it than that. I really do, because let's face it, back in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 17, all that time frame area, there was a lot of infighting with the DC fandom then. I mean, I was very, very much part of the Snyder fandom back then. I Man of Steel, my favorite comic book movie. I mean, it's my favorite comic book movie. And I was so looking forward to Batman vs. Superman. And I've said this story countless times. I came out of the theater completely pissed off at how bad Batman vs. Superman was. I couldn't believe that what was that movie? I went home immediately and started writing my own fanfic of something that could be better. And then I saw the Ultimate Edition, opened my eyes, had to watch it a couple more times, and I started to realize, okay, this is actually a good movie. It's not great, it's not a masterpiece like people think it is, but I started to understand, like, okay, this is a better movie than I thought and that I gave it credit for. And then I started to see the fighting that was really happening then. And it was a lot of the hatred towards what Zack did to Batman or to Superman and all of that stuff. And I mean, I saw it after Man of Steel too, about how people were upset about emo Superman and stuff like that. But you know, it started to get worse after 2016. And now it has flipped. The script is flipped because you had the fans of Snyder back then, and that really carried on through 2020, 2021, that whole thing with this release of Snyder Cut and everything like that. And it really amplified after 2017. But I was part of the release of Snyder Cut movement, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the release of Snyder Cut movement was honorable through and through. They weren't. I mean, they weren't. I know that I tried to be, specifically, for the most part, I tried to be, because it was about just getting the movie out. And I would have the podcast network I was part of back then. I would have friendly debates with the other hosts of the other shows all the time, because I was like the only person that was like passionate about the Snyder stuff. They were all against it, but I would still have passionate debates. But you could tell that there's this, you know, this divide in the fandom even then. And again, it wasn't so much that it was the Snyder fandom that was causing it. It was the other side at that time. So it kind of, like I said, the script got flipped, I would say, in around the time of after the announcement, when the Restore the Snyderverse fandom started. And I myself, whether other people agree or not, I point to the time of Ray Fisher calling out Josh Whedon and Walter Hamada. And again, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have done that. I 100% agree that he should have called them out. I 100% agree that he should have blown the whistle on all of that happened. Not so much on Walter Hamada, but on Josh Whedon, on Jeff Johns, on everything that happened in 2017 during production, because that kind of stuff is uncalled for and needs to be called out and needs to be handled. But the way he handled everything with Walter Hamada afterwards should have been done behind closed doors. That should not have been made public. He should not have utilized the fandom to, he should not have weaponized the fandom, I should say. Because when he started weaponizing the fandom, that's when the toxicity really, really ramped up against Warner Brothers. And that's when things really, really got nasty. And from that point forward, that's where I think things got really, really, really bad within the fandom. And that's when we started to see a lot of entitlement from the fans. And you have now a section of fans who feel really, really entitled. And you have a section of fans who are just excited and willing and ready to see what's to come. But you have the entitled fans who don't care about what's coming, and they just want to, just ruin and rag on anything that the other people were excited about. So again, it would be easy to sit there and say, it's just the Snyder cult, or it's just the Snyder bros, or whatever you want to call them. But I think, like I said, it stems back even further than that, because I think, there's a lot of animosity. There's a lot of hatred that was built up from a lot of these fans because of all the crap that they were taking 10, 15 years ago during the Snyder DCEU early years. And they've kind of twisted, and they held on to that hatred for so long. And once they got their way, they were like, haha, see, now it's my turn. And they kind of twisted it. And that's why I always call them hypocrites. To be honest, I call them hypocrites because, they always tried to sit there and say that they were high and mighty and better than everybody else, but then they turn around and they act just the same. But again, yeah, I think that is a major issue within the fandom for sure. But I think that's a part of the problem. But then you can also take a look at the studios. I mean, I think there's a lot of issues with what went on with the studios. What are you guys saying down here? I talk too long. I like to talk. Lawrence says, what matters is that we have people who like the show who are off to a good start for the DCU. Yeah, that's true. You're talking about Creature Commandos. Hope for Life says, the problem with the fandom is that the old regime divided it and it's been chaotic ever since. Yeah, I mean, that's what my second stint, or stint, not stint, whatever. Here I was going to say that the old studios really just mishandled everything, and that really doesn't help at all. It really doesn't. Lawrence Fury says, in real life, nobody know about the Snyder fan. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Lawrence. You're not wrong. You can walk up to somebody like, hey, do you know what a Snyder fan is? And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? So yeah, you're not wrong. The problem is, Lawrence says, is fast DC film. I'm guessing you're talking about how fast they were releasing things. That's a possibility. Matthew Goddard says, there are a lot of front-loaded costs to establish a new DC cinematic universe if Superman isn't being treated as a standalone movie. That's true. Yeah. I don't think you're talking about something else you guys are talking about there. Lauren said, I support the Snyder Cut. It was a good story. I would love to see the Flashpoint movie to end it all. Yeah, it would be nice. Trayvon says, I caught the hypocrisy with Ray Fisher when he screamed accountability over entertainment, yet he didn't say a word regarding Ezra Miller. True. Matthew says, they are boycotting No Cavill Superman. I've been told by some of those people hoping the new film is good is a betrayal of Zack. I was on the same page 2 years ago, but I realized Snyderverse is dead. Yeah. Otita says, Man of Steel is a good film, but horrible superhero movie. See, one thing that people misunderstand about Man of Steel, and this may not be you, Otito, so I'm not saying this about you, but some people misunderstand that Man of Steel is not a Superman movie. It's a Clark Kent movie. It doesn't turn into a Superman movie until the end of the film. Like the first, 2/3, maybe even 3/4 of the movie is a Clark Kent story. It's about Clark Kent becoming Superman. And it's really, like I said, the last, 1/3, maybe last 1/4 of the movie is a Superman film. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people go into that movie thinking it's going to be a Superman movie. It's all about Superman, but it's really not. Because even whenever he puts on the suit in the middle of the movie, he's not even yet Superman at that point in time. He's still Clark Kent trying to find out what he is, who he is, why he is, all of that. And it's not until, honestly, it's not really even until the end of the movie that he realizes what his place is and who he is. And then I think that's a big problem with Batman vs. Superman is people think it's like a detachment because it's like Batman vs. Superman. It goes back and it's yet again, he's trying to determine and figure out who he is. And it's like, well, didn't he just figure that out in the last movie? And now he's trying to figure it out again. It's like, come on, man. Like, what the hell? But yeah. Trayvon says, why the toxicity within the DC fandom? 2 words, Toby Emmerich. Yeah, I mean, he's a part of it for sure. Hungry Almighty, the only fans that matter are the fans, not on the internet. If that means my opinion don't matter, then so be it. Yeah. I mean, I won't say that they're the only ones that matter. I think what you're trying to say is it's the larger audience that matters. I mean, when it comes down to it, the audience, the larger audience, the ones that go to the theater and pay the money, and those are the ones that matter. The ones that just simply sit here and talk on the internet and post things on X and stuff like that, they're not the only ones that matter. It's everyone that matters, I think, is what at least that's what I'm gathering. Jay Burns says, we still have those films for the ones who enjoy them. The DCU doesn't erase those movies from existence. I know it's crazy, but you can like the DCEU and still be excited for the DCU. Yeah, you got me right here. I love the DCEU, and I'm excited for DCU. Matthew says, I love when Cavill takes flight as Superman and the music. It sucks that it's all over and how dark and depressing it all got with BVS. Sam Dan reviews, Man of Steel is a good movie, but not a good Superman movie. Again, like I said, it is more a Clark Kent movie. It doesn't become a Superman movie until the end, like closer to the end of the movie. But that was the point of the film. It was a coming of age. It was a coming of becoming a man type of movie. It wasn't meant to be a Superman movie until that point. Lawrence Fury says, the main reason I see the DCEU failing is that the stories are not good. Well, the DCEU failed. I think a lot of the movies were actually pretty good. I don't know. Hope for Life. I wonder when DeLuca and Abdi are going to leave the studio, because I think they were part of the old regime. Well, they're part of Warner Brothers, so I mean, they're not touching DC, so it doesn't really matter. They handle Warner Brothers Pictures. They're over there doing stuff with Warner Brothers Pictures, so they do nothing with DC Studios. You don't need to worry about them anymore. Trayvon says, I vividly remember hearing a Hollywood insider refer to Emmerich as a boot-licking piece of crap. That's awesome. Vidhan, hey, what's going on, man? How's it going? Just doing an open discussion right now on we're talking about why, or what are the issue, what is the issue with the fandom in the DC fandom. But if you want to talk about anything else, just bring it on up and talk about whatever you want. Oh yeah. I see Vidhan has the absolute Superman avatar. I still haven't picked that one up yet. I need to get that one. I think, what is it, March Absolute Flash comes out. Can't wait for that. Trayvon says, and New Line Cinema as well. What are they overseeing that? Vidham, but Superman isn't a superhero movie until it covers both the sides of the character and Clark and Cal both together. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I guess, yeah, I can see that. Hungry Almighty, problem with the DC fandom is a lot of fans can't get over Snyderverse and want nothing but Snyder, which is fine, but there's no need to constantly complain about every little thing Gunn does. That is a problem. I mean, that's the one thing that gets kind of tiring is, look, you don't have to, I say this all the time, you don't have to like Gunn. You don't have to like every decision he makes. You don't have to like him as a director. You don't have to like him as a writer. You don't have to like him at all. But again, he's not going to be writing, directing every single thing in the DC and in the DCU. So just hold on a little hope that there will be something that will excite you, that you will like, that comes out in the DCU. Hold out hope that maybe, because he is a talented filmmaker, that maybe he will make a Superman movie that you enjoy. Oh, but I don't like the suit that he made for Superman. Who the hell cares? A suit doesn't make a movie. Like, when did that ever become a thing? Like, take a look at the suits in the X-Men movies, and specifically the first X-Men and the second X-Men movie. Those suits are horrendous, but they're both good damn movies. So, like, come on, people. Like, use your mind here. Like, don't. And that's what I try to explain to people is, like, you don't need to like them, but just think a little bit. Use your head. Like, have a little hope. Like, just imagine we have an actual plan for DC, unlike we've ever had before. Oh, but Zack Snyder had a plan. Okay, but that's gone. And even his plan was a 5-film arc. Well, they had Flash and Cyborg and blah, 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 this and that. Okay, sure. But everything kept getting delayed. Everything was not written in stone. It was thrown together. Like, nothing was really, like, we have something that we've never seen before. And that's the thing. They always push back. They always try and say this or that. They can't get out of their own way. And like you said, if they can just push the whole Snyderness out of their way and just sit back and say, okay, this is DC. This is the new DC. We got to move forward. I may not like everything about it, but hey, let's have some hope that something good comes out of it. If it doesn't, you can always go back and watch what you did like. It's that simple. Like, who would have thought 25 years ago that we would be sitting here having a conversation about this kind of stuff? Nobody. So at least be thankful that you're having a conversation, that there could be a universe, a connected universe. All right. Otito says Snyder's vision would have worked for Elseworlds, but made it mainstream, which was not smart. Not to mention he planned to have Batman be in prison and raped. He didn't actually have that planned. But he did have Batman. He did have a plan to have Batman dead at the end of his. Bruce Wayne Batman would have been dead at the end of his film arc, which means that the DCEU would have not had a Bruce Wayne Batman in it, which is wild. Hope for Life asks, who would you cast as Etrigan the Demon? I don't know. I know who. Hold on. I can't remember his name. I gotta look up his name real quick. Keith David. There we go. Keith David. Actor Keith David. I love his voice. I think his voice would be perfect for him. Because, I mean, come on. Keith David, he played the Arbiter in the Halo series. Come on. That'd be perfect for Etrigan. Jeff Lemire on that Flash is going to be awesome. Oh, sorry. I was confused. Like, where are we going with this? Gotcha, Jay. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Nico, no big problem with DC fandom because I see Snyder fandom not part of it. Matthew Goddard says, I like Batfleck and I like that Lois Lane, but that was the worst Lex Luthor ever. Zuckerberg with a liking for candy is Emmanuel Silvera, if you aren't liking Gunn and trashing the films before it comes out because the Snyderverse is over, Tahoe. Yeah, I don't know why people are doing that. Like, it gets to the point where it gets to a point where it's tiresome. Why are you so negative? That's all I have to ask. If video after video that you make is just, oh, here's another update about James Gunn pooping on the Superman suit. Oh, how bad is this Superman suit? Oh, it's terrible. Oh, here's another update about James Gunn doing that. Oh, James Gunn's gonna take the Pattinson Batman. Oh, you know it. Oh, here's another update because James Gunn is this, or here's another update because James Gunn sucked. Like, why? Like, it's tiresome. It's ridiculous. You know, there's others too. I could sit here and start naming off YouTubers that do it because there's plenty of them that I've run into, but it gets to a point where it's like, why? What is it going to do? Honestly, what does it do for you? Is it going to make the Snyderverse come back? No. Is it going to make James Gunn get fired? No. Is it going to make the Superman movie fail and the DCU fail? No. So what you're doing is just pointless. Pointless. I don't get it. I don't get it. Jay Burns says Stuart Townsend as Jason Blood and Keith David as the voice of Etrigan. Did you put really? Hungry Almighty, to this day, in my opinion, I think Marvel made a mistake getting rid of Andrew Spidey and rebooted with Holland. And I still think, I never liked Andrew as Spider-Man. And I still think that way, but I still like Tom Spidey and got over Andrew not being MCU Spidey. Hungry Almighty also says that's what Snyder fans should be thinking. Hope for life. Oh, I just had an idea. What if Eclipso was working with Elena and Gorilla Grodd and Eclipso killed the Justice League? Interesting. I think that was all fake vision. Well, I won't say it was a fake vision. I don't know. See, I still don't know about that whole thing. Was it a fake vision? I don't know. Like, was it a fake vision just for Circe to go and get her team to go kill the princess for her? Like, that was still, I don't know. I still don't know. Emmanuel Severa, I'm over comparing everything that Gunn does to Man of Steel also. It seems like that fanboys keep doing that and using it as criticism against the film. And that's another thing. Emmanuel, I don't know why people have to compare. I don't get it. I don't get why you have to say, look at Cavill Superman and look at Corn Sweat Superman. I'm going to be completely honest. I never looked at Cavill Superman to Ralph's. I never looked at Ralph Superman to Christopher Reeve. I never looked at Cavill to Reeve. I never, like, when these Supermen were coming out, I never compared them to the previous ones. There was no need to. There was no point. Even when Affleck was cast as Batman, like, I remember when that happened. Like, I thought it was great news. I was like, Affleck is Batman? That is amazing. But there were a lot of people who were like, oh, that's terrible casting. And there were people who still wanted Christian Bale as Batman. And I was never a huge fan as Bale as Batman. But I was like, I don't want Bale to continue. Plus, Bale said he was done. He only wanted to do it if Nolan was doing Batman. But he wasn't. And he was like, I'm done. So when they cast Affleck, people were mad. Like, no, we want Bale. But Bale wasn't doing it. But people still didn't really sit there and compare Affleck to Bale. And this whole comparison of Corn Sweat to Cavill makes no sense. Like, what's the point? It's two different universes. It's two different type of directors. It's two different visions. So first off, we know Zack Snyder had a certain vision for the way that his Superman was going to look, the way that he was going to portray his Superman. Then the way James Gunn is going to portray his Superman, the way his universe is going to have Superman portrayed. So obviously it's going to look different. But people can't handle that. And it's absurd. It's absurd. I don't get it. It's absurd. Trayvon says, the only problem I could really think of is an obsession over Henry Cavill playing Superman as if nobody else can portray him. Yeah. Look, I love Cavill as Superman. He was fantastic in the role. He was shortchanged, though. And let's not forget all the rumors that came out about him not being willing to extend his contract on a good deal. Like, they tried working out a deal to have a longer contract to do more films, but he wanted so much money. And Warner Brothers at the time was like, look, your movies haven't been making money. You're not a draw. And he was like, no, I think I'm a draw. I'm blah, blah, blah. And he wanted bigger money than Warner Brothers was willing to pay him. Like, he wasn't a draw like a Robert Downey Jr., like a Chris Evans was, or anything like that for Marvel. And the movies weren't making the money. But he wanted the money like a Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans or something like that. And Warner Brothers wasn't willing to pay him, which is why we didn't get more of Cavill in more movies. He was being cocky. He was being arrogant. And that's why we didn't get more of him. That's how it happened. It's unfortunate, but that's really how it happened. And apparently he wasn't fun to work with on set too. Apparently. I don't know if that's true. Jay Burns says, negativity gets the clicks. I've tried the negativity, and it doesn't really get me the clicks. I've tried. It doesn't get me the clicks. Trayvon says, for example, excommunicate The Rock if it allows you to include Shazam in a big credit scene in Black Adam, and have Hawkman and Atom Smasher recruit Shazam to the Justice Society. Otita says Circe and Grodd are going to have big roles in the DCU, according to X. I'm personally hyped for Grodd because he looks so damn cool. Yeah, I mean, if they do bigger roles for Grodd, that's going to be cool. But I don't think they can do Grodd immediately. Like, I want to see him down the line. Yeah, I don't want to see him immediately. I like the little tease though, for sure, but I don't want to see him immediately. Matthew says, I don't know if he can make another good movie. I honestly think Snyder wants to be an auteur. Rebel Moon was doing and shooting the movie however the hell he wanted. Would he want to work under gun? I don't want him to work under gun, honestly. And I mean, I do want to see his LAPD film or SWAT movie, whatever it's going to be. I'm going to watch it. I'm hoping it's going to be good, but who knows? Trayvon says Cavill Superman grabbed Bale's Batman by the throat, and he says you were excommunicated by a gang of psychopaths. Oh man. Holy crap, it's been an hour already? Where'd the time go? Jeez. That's wild. Jeez, I gotta start the music, guys. Yeah, get out of here soon. Let's see. Whoever plays the next Fallout, I don't know why they didn't. The truth is here. Truth 21. The negativity will only last so long as friends DC becomes DC at time. The drift will have a time limit. Yeah, I agree with that. The way I look at it is, like I said, we saw how they've been acting about Creature Commandos the last couple days, and then they're going to do the same thing about Superman. They're going to twist everything they can for Superman. They'll twist everything for Lanterns. Eventually, they'll get tired because they just won't be able to twist things anymore. People will see the truth. But I think for the first few projects, they definitely will twist things as much as possible. Tito says, seriously, better get a power up because taken down by an overgrown hyena is too much nerfing. She was distracted and she didn't realize how powerful he was. Alan Emocab. How's it going, Alan? First timer? Awesome. I'm going to watch a Superman movie because I love DC Comics. Great to hear. I love seeing and hearing about people who are going to see Superman because they're excited about it and they love comics. I love hearing and seeing that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. Welcome to the channel. I hope you stick around and check out some other videos. Every Thursday we do a show called The Watchtower where we just talk DC. So hopefully you come back next week. We're about wrapping up here, so hopefully you come back next week. Tito, oh, you're talking about Kova from Planet. Who you guys are talking about Andy Serkis. Who do you guys want Andy Serkis to play? Jay Burns. Will adjusted for inflation ever stop being a talking point? Look, people are going to say adjusted for inflation. People, I talked about this in my video the other day. People are going to talk about things. Nobody wants to look at the trends. What is right now? Everybody wants to say, well, 10 years ago, this. Who cares about 10 years ago? Well, 5 years ago, this. I don't care about 5 years ago. Look at the current trends of movies. Look at what's going on right now with the comic book movie genre. Look at what's going on now. That's the kind of stuff you need to look at. So when you're talking about the Superman box office, that's what you have to look at. You have to look at that. You have to look at how much money it costs for the movie to get made, how much money the marketing was, what the trends are going on with the film industry in the box office. Look at all that stuff. What's going on now? Don't worry about what happened 10 years ago. Don't worry about what the inflation for Man of Steel was to today, because what happened to Man of Steel in 2013 and what was going on then is not relevant to today. But people don't get that. People don't understand that. And it's just maddening to me. It's maddening. Hope for Life says, I wonder if Boba Talks is going to be here someday. Look, man, I'm trying. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm trying. I've reached out to him a couple times. I've emailed him. I've messaged him. I don't want him to be a guest on a live show. I just want to sit down and talk with him. One thing I love to do is I love to interview people, and I love to interview content creators. And that's what I want to do with him. I want to do an interview with him. I want to sit down. I want to talk with him, just find out how he got to be where he's at and what he's doing. Because I love to do that with people, and maybe shoot the shit a little bit about DC. And then I want to put that up on the channel. And maybe it'll start a little relationship with me and him where maybe one day I can have him on my show. Maybe one time I can be on his show, something like that. But I just would love to have a conversation with him, and then I can throw it up on the channel for you guys. But I'm trying to get something between him and me. I think it'd be cool. I think all of you guys would really like it. But yeah. Alan says, as much as I love the Snyderverse, I'm excited for this movie. I want to see what James Gunn's cooking. As do I. Riley's blogs. Andy Serkis has Gorilla Grodd. Oh, I see what you guys are saying. Yeah, that'd be cool. But is it too close to him playing Caesar? Because didn't he play Caesar? He was Caesar, wasn't he? He was Caesar. Wasn't he? Oh. He's played so many different motion capture characters. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I want to get to bed. I got to go to work tomorrow morning. Here's the thing. We'll be back Monday for my normal show / Free Talk podcast, and then won't actually have an episode next Thursday. Next Thursday, I am going to be on my buddy's podcast, and I will send out a link to it. I want you all to come over and check him out. He does Thirsty Thursdays on his channel called Off the Cover. He's a great guy and typically has a bunch of guests on his show. And we just shoot the shit and talk about a bunch of different movie stuff, what's going on in the pop culture world. I will say, guys, if you're not, he does get a little political. He does get political in his political way. So, if you're not a political kind of person, you may not want to check out the show. But the group of people that he gets over there, absolutely awesome. So I will put the link out on my community tab. So next Thursday, there won't be a Watchtower. Maybe I'll see if I can sneak in a Watchtower another day next week. I'll see how my schedule's looking next week, because it's kind of busy. But next Thursday, there won't be a Watchtower. I'll be on my buddy's show. But I will have my normal show next Monday / Free Talk podcast at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. But with all that said, guys, thanks for joining, and I will catch you